The first president of Cameroon was Ahmadou Ahidjo, who served from 1960 until 1982. Born on August 24, 1924, in the Adamawa region, Ahidjo began his political career in the colonial administration under French rule. After World War II, he became involved in nationalist movements seeking independence from France. Cameroon gained independence from France on January 1, 1960, and Ahmadou Ahidjo was elected as the country's first president later that year. His presidency marked the establishment of a one-party state, as he implemented a series of policies aimed at modernizing the economy and consolidating power. Ahidjo was known for his authoritarian style of governance and suppressing political opposition. In 1972, he initiated a political transformation by creating a united republic, thereby merging the two territories of French Cameroon and British Southern Cameroons. This move aimed to create a cohesive national identity, but it also intensified tensions with the Anglophone regions. As president, Ahidjo created a one-party state. He was committed to Pan-African ideals and African socialism, but was not considered a radical compared to other African leaders who espoused socialism. He maintained close ties with the French state and with Western, democratic countries. Some of his foreign visits were peculiar, such as American and France. Washington, March 13. Ahmadou Ahidjo, President of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, arrived today for a two-day state visit. The 38-year-old leader of the West African Republic was greeted at the Washington National Airport by President Kennedy. In his welcoming remarks, President Kennedy paid tribute to one of the youngest presidents in the world for the leadership he had shown in uniting a country with different languages, which had not known a sense of nationhood and community until recent years. President Kennedy expressed admiration for President Ahidjo's efforts to obtain a better life for his people and the hope that his visit would further those efforts. It was a most fortunate time for the visit, President Kennedy said, because Cameroon was not only the geographical hinge upon which Africa turned, but could also become the political and economic hinge. Replying in French, President Ahidjo said his nation had followed with great attention President Kennedy's dynamic policies and his efforts to consolidate friendship among nations. Africans, he said, were grateful for the attitude of the President of the United States toward our continent. Before exchanging greetings, a 21-gun salute was fired for the visiting head of state and the Cameroon and United States national anthems were played. After the airport ceremony, the two presidents rode to Blair House, the government's guest house. At 1 p.m., President Kennedy gave a state lunch for the Cameroon president at the White House. After lunch, they conferred on a broad range of subjects, including the Congo, United Nations problems, decolonization of remaining dependent territories in Africa, and economic aid. Ahidjo stepped down from the presidency in November 1982, transferring power to his chosen successor, Paul Biya. After his resignation, Ahmadou Ahidjo lived in exile until his death in 1989. His legacy remains complex, as he is both credited with stability and development during his tenure and criticized for human rights abuses and the lack of political freedoms. Ahmadou Ahidjo was married to Germaine Habiba Ahidjo. Their children are Babette Ahidjo, Mohamedou Ahidjo, Aissatou Ahidjo, and Aminatou Ahidjo. The reason for his resignation was due to exhaustion and other health-related issues. His vice president, Paul Biya, was sworn in as president on November 6. Unlike the Muslim northerner Ahidjo, Biya was a Christian from the south of Cameroon. As Vice President, Biya had been a faithful follower, but as president he began to assert his control over the government by gradually replacing Ahidjo's ministers and officials with people loyal to him. In July 1983, their differences became so great that Ahidjo fled to France. In August, the government claimed Ahidjo supporters were behind an attempted coup. Ahidjo was tried in absentia and sentenced to death, which was later commuted to life imprisonment. A second violent, but unsuccessful coup attempt, allegedly by Ahidjo supporters in April 1984, was suppressed by the armed forces. Ahidjo spent his remaining years in exile in Senegal and France. He died in Dakar, Senegal on November 30, 1989, at the age of 65.